All right, by request, this one's for you. So, talking about Samantha from Sex and the City, almost universally seen as a dominant SE type. It's not hard to see why. The real question becomes, is it SLE or is it SEE? In my opinion, I would say it's SLE. And the main reason for that is the FI being so bad in her case, right? So, quickly, okay, because it is important to see this. Looking at Model A, okay, there's a lot of people who will be intimidated a bit by Socionics, by the different models that are out there. Model A, there's G, there's B, there's a bunch of them, right? Model A is the most widely used one. Now, at first, yes, this could seem very intimidating and difficult to understand or wrap your mind around. With time and practice, like all things, eventually you easily memorize it, really. It just becomes very simple. And you can start plugging in all the elements in all the proper functions in your head as you're talking to somebody or typing somebody. You can do it in real time. So it's just a matter of practice, is the point I'm getting at. So here, this is the SLE Model A breakdown. Just as a little review there. This top row are the strong elements. Okay. You're strong in them and they're valued. You actually care about them. At the bottom end, we have more strong but unvalued. Notice their sensing is all strong, thinking is all strong. Okay, they're good thinkers. Here in the middle, weak and unvalued. Down here, we have weak but valued. Okay, so notice which elements are where. And I just wrote this out just to kind of make it a little bit simpler to understand the different names as they're often referred to in socionics. So I mentioned SE is the leading function. Why is it SE? She's very assertive, quick to act. She is dominating and bossy, very much in the sensory world, literally chasing after sensoric pleasures like sex and just a good old time. She's doing it constantly. She's very proud to accomplish, to be in charge, and to be really getting her way. All very SE qualities. Now, in the dominant leading position, this should be active, noticeable, okay, bold to the audience looking at her all the time, which it is. Okay? And it's not a place where she struggles. It's never really an issue for her to act and do stuff and make things happen. Okay? Very simple. The other area that would be bold and noticeable to the audience is FE. We see plenty of FE. We see her kind of very expressive, very emotive, understanding the emotions of others in the room and so on, tapping into that. She's very good at marketing, branding, understanding what sells, what works well with people, how to communicate to people. Very helpful when it comes to dating and the sex life and attracting the right kind of people. She owns a PR company, so she's obviously very good at branding. Now, these two things, okay, yeah, an SEE would also have very good FE, even better FE, in fact. In the case of Samantha, I would argue that her FE is very good and she does flaunt it a lot, but she also screws it up a lot. But she also values it, right? For an SEE, FE would be down here as an unvalued position. They're good at it, they can understand and do well, but they don't really care about it at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, for an SEE, FI is what's more important to them. Their close relationships with individuals. That's really what matters most. That's not so with Miranda. Samantha. She very much likes the image that she's putting out, being seen a certain kind of way. Very important to her. As I mentioned, she does have her own business. We see her in charge. She's very, very good at it. She demonstrates it to Richard, one of her clients at some point. She knows her stuff. She understands how to make shit happen, how to make things work. She knows what works and what doesn't. Really, really good at it. Okay, that's demonstrating of all the thinking functions, really, especially TE. Strong TE. It's very easy to her. She doesn't flaunt it. It's not a big deal. She just uses it as needed. Okay. TI in a flexible position, you're not always going to see it. Its job is to augment the dominant. That's really what it's for. But again, the real difference maker of this argument is the FI. Her FI sucks. Consistently sucks throughout the entire show. She's very bad at the intimate space with people, particularly men. She also screws up a lot, even amongst her friends. So, enough yammering. Let's see it.
I'm telling you, we almost broke the bed.
You can't break a bed.
What does this stallion do for a living? I'm not sure.
Huh. Hey, does he go to Mickey Mantle's?
You got me.
How can you not know anything about him? You slept with him.
I fucked him. He made me come 6 times. It's good enough for me.
Stop it. Why do you always have to talk about sex like that?
Because I can.
Okay, girls, simmer down. Mommy hasn't had her caffeine yet. I can't take this anymore. Oh, hey, frittatas. Sex is something special that's supposed to happen between two people who love each other.
Or 2 people who love sex.
Oh, my God, you're such a...
A what? What am I, Charlotte?
When are you going to learn that you can't just sleep with everything that comes along?
Hey, Mrs. Softy, at least I'm getting laid. And you can forget Samba. That girl needs to stick out of her ass and a dick in her coochie pronto. Am I right?
Not getting involved.
I'm with her. You know what? I don't need this. Maybe you guys should forget Samba, too.
All right. What's important from that scene? We notice very assertive, quick to respond, quick to act, decisive individual. She will really defend her reputation. She really doesn't like it when people start messing with her about being slutty in her behavior and everything else. She will stand up and make the argument. Okay, what am I? What's going on? What do you want to say? She will spoil the mood. She will just whatever. Oh, everyone's uncomfortable. Yeah, I know you're all uncomfortable. I know everyone's tense. One of you's running out like, but she's gonna stand her ground on what she thinks. You want to have this argument and this fight? Okay, let's go. She doesn't have a problem doing that. She does this kind of thing all the time in the show, constantly. It's just this is just one example, so that I get the point across. But there's so many examples you can point from. Let's see. Notice she's not it's not difficult for her to clash with her friends and get into these discussions. I'll assert myself, we'll argue it, whatever. And she will not hold on to grudges. That's another key piece here. Don't see her really holding to a grudge, really having a static, unchanging view of her relationships with people. She's quick to kind of accept people for who they are, change her opinion on them. As long as you're not treating me badly right here now, you're not calling out my reputation or just, being an asshole to me. As long as you're not doing that now, she's okay with you, right? And she will quickly kind of make up and let's go back. Just don't behave like that and don't be annoying. That was her problem with Charlotte there. Charlotte decided to pick a fight over this and make an issue out of it, and it ruins the mood and so on. Right? It's all FE stuff. When it comes to the FI, by contrast, okay, static, how you really feel about someone or something in a more emotional, intimate way, long term, showing real intimacy, genuine connection to something, genuine concern, all of those things. That's where we look at F5, if we can ever get there. Oh, for God's sakes. Okay, so if we ever get there.
So what do you want to eat?
Later, without direction, Smith tried the most intimate hand position of all.
I don't know. What do you feel like?
Sushi, maybe. Or Thai.
No, I just had to.
Babe? You okay?
I have new sympathy for the disabled.
What happened to you?
Oh, I'm fine. I just fell into one of those hatches on the sidewalk. It was stupid.
Oh my God, that's my biggest fear. How did that happen?
It was Smith's fault. He did something to me that was so perverse. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. He tried to hold my hand.
Do you mean to tell me that Smith is a hand holder? And to think he once served us food.
You laugh, but it's part of a bigger problem. Do you know that I didn't fuck a single or married guy the whole time Smith was out of town? And I'll tell you something else. I missed him.
Well, it sounds to me like he missed you too, hence the deviant behavior. Like it or not, that little tadpole is wide open and there for you. Life's short, you might want to consider holding his hand.
Look.
All right. So, again, what you're noticing is the lack of FI. She's so uncomfortable with genuine emotional connection to a person, especially again in her relationships with men. Really bad. Um, just holding hands, doing these other things that show that you actually really care about someone it's very awkward for her. It's very uncomfortable for her. She has a hard time admitting it. She has a hard time accepting it. She has a hard time getting there. Um, Many of the men that she's picking, by the way, are often just young, hot studs that are up and coming. They're successful, they're wealthy, they're just good looking. That's it. She wants to be with guys that are seen as successful, as winners, because she's successful and she's a winner, and that's more exciting to be with these young studs. It's a very superficial kind of way to look at relationships and men. She mentioned in the previous video that she was having sex with somebody just for the sex. It didn't matter the emotional connection. It didn't matter that she didn't really know what he did. She didn't really know much about him. There was no desire for any kind of real intimacy. The looking at hot men, successful men, young guys, up and coming studs, and so on, it's very categorical. As long as they meet that criteria, then I'm good. I'm fine. They're attractive to me. We can do things together. Okay. If they're not really meeting that criteria, then ugh, I can't believe you're here hitting on me. She's doing that. Very TI. This is the category. This is kind of what I'm looking for. I'm laying that out for you, spelling it out pretty much, and that's it. At the expense of any sort of like genuine emotional connection to somebody. Right? Shitty FI. And we just saw the scene there, just hand holding. The guy that was even trying to hold her hand wasn't just a random guy. It's somebody she's actually been seriously dating and in a real relationship for quite some time. They've been having all kinds of sex. They've been doing things for, again, weeks, if not longer at this point. And yet she still finds just hand holding and talking about her feelings so difficult. She even looked embarrassed to admit that she kind of missed him. She does it all the time. So the FI is just woo, really, really, really bad. So, um, again, it's a TV show, it's a TV character. You can always, point the obvious out. TV characters are written not exactly like human beings because there need to be a little larger than life to make it fun to watch. The show itself is focused only, well, predominantly on relationships and so on. So it's hard to see certain aspects of these people, certain areas of their life. But we get glimpses of it, we get little bits of it here and there. So we get enough. But the focus of this conversation, where it's SLE or SEE, really rests on the FI or TI. What seems to be the real weak spot in this character? And Again, my argument is FI is the weak spot, very weak spot. Everything else seems to not be quite as weak, and everything else fits if you were trying to say SLE. All the other aspects of her all, fall into place. You should not expect the TI to be so incredibly obvious because it is in a flexible position, right? Flexible contact, right? It will yield to the environment, to the situation. Its primary job is simply to support the SE, to help her obtain the goals that she wants to get, whatever those goals are. So you shouldn't expect to see a tremendous flowing of TI in a show that's predominantly about relationships and when it's in a flexible position. So there you go. That's the thing. Again, I like the show. I like the seen the show probably 2 or 3 times in its entirety, and the movies. Take from that what you will. Um, so I don't mind covering these characters in depth. Um, as always, leave your comments, leave your likes. You think it's obvious she's SLE? Are you unconvinced? You think she's SEE? I guess you still unconvinced and you think she might be some other type somehow. Whatever.